Hey, 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 you get to watch Killer Beaz. I think our first celebrity playing the pinball machine. Actually, you know, the boss lady was the first to play. She that is too powerful to have a name. You can't even say her name. Yeah, the boss lady was playing it first, and then Beaz got on there. Beaz, did she beat you? Yeah, corporate beat you. Mm-hmm. You knew it was going to happen. My wife will come over here and play, and then I will work all afternoon to beat the records that she makes. She'll make a record, like she had the loop record for a while, Beaz, and then I took it from her. I worked all afternoon to steal it from her. And good to see you, man.
Good to see you, buddy.
let me turn this music down here. Sorry, we added more things. So, you know, when you add more things, it gets more complicated and weird.
You mean like kids and things?
Yeah, we have kids. How are your sons?
Good. Grown up, 34 and 30.
Oh, yeah.
Man, we remember when they were little.
Well, have we had both of them in here?
I think only has Skylar
long
been
hair,
in?
long hair. Oh, yeah, you're safe. You're not on camera. Truett.
There was one that came in and you said, dude, you look like the singer for the Black Crowes.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. He has like long hair. I'm kind of letting my hair kind of get, I don't know. I don't want to cut my hair anymore. So I'm done cutting it.
Wow.
And I don't know why. Tom thinks I'm going crazy. He also is trying to, like, I think feed it a little bit, the craziness, because he thinks that we would look better if we have opposing looks, which is true, I think, for branding. Like, you look like, originally I think I originally started the gentleman's style. Now it's like an alt-right haircut, but like I had like the really like coiffed hair, you know, with the razor part and everything, and then I went through that phase, and I think Tom now has a more relaxed version of that. We don't even have that hair anymore. Like Tom doesn't have that moppy hair. He has amazing hair now.
You've got the same eyes.
We do have the same eyes, the dead eyes, yeah. So dead behind the eyes. Well, I'm glad you're here, man.
I'm glad
you guys
man.
always
Thank
reach
you.
out. Have you been super busy, though?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yep,
That's good. Because from what I understand, when you stop working, that's the end of it. That's why I am choosing to never stop working.
Dude, I'm 71 now.
I don't believe that. I wouldn't tell people that.
43 years
You do not look 71.
So,
you hold your age. See, Tom's been running, and he's getting skinnier. And look at how good Beaz looks.
I
think when you're lean like that, and you got the little... See, he doesn't I'm going to give you some compliments for a second. Just sit there and take them.
Okay, cool.
When you don't try hard your beard, and you leave it, like, it looks youthful on him, see? That's in right now.
Yeah.
The goatee is back.
It's lo-fi.
Yeah, you don't try very hard with it, and then you'll sneak in. I see you'll sneak in like a Grand Ole Opry or like a Fender hat, a Gibson hat, right? Like a little something cool, just a tiny bit, nothing too much.
A touch of swag, so that people go, wait a minute.
Yeah, just a little tiny bit, and I think that's what keeps you young.
I got a
You
lot
ready to go? Yeah, this guy's
that.
loaded. Okay, here we go. He's drunk. No, I'm kidding. All right, hold on here. I gotta delete one little thing. And then we will begin. Chat room, if you have questions, go ahead and lay them in there. I am reading. All right, sir. Would you like to begin?
Yes.
Hold on. I want to fix this right here. Whoop. There we go. 3, 2.
Welcome to A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan. We are live on Twitch and also YouTube. Just go there, like, and subscribe at Tom and Dan Live.
On the couch, a good friend of the show has been coming in to do our podcast.
How many years?
And we'll ask him
since
because,
we've had this studio, so how long have we been here?
And even before, I think
he came to my house one time.
Got to be
maybe
close
twice.
to 10 years. He's going to be at Porky's Comedy Club Friday and Saturday night.
Yes, sir.
Killer Beaz is here. How you doing, Killer Beaz?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me, and good to see y'all.
Good to see you too, man. It's been... When is the last time we had Beaz? It's been a minute, because I think the last time you rolled through, we missed you because I think we were on vacation. I think I had an exchange with corporate. That we were already like booked to go. So I think you had a trip, and then we missed Beaz.
Yeah.
So hey, welcome and glad to see you.
I think it's been a year, or probably at least a year.
I think it's been over a year. I think it's been over a year. Yeah.
Time is going by too fast, Beaz. I don't know if you
telling
know
me.
this. I know.
Don't tell Beaz that.
So I don't know why I've never done this, but I never went to Beaz Wikipedia and then just read through.
Well,
I don't know why. Maybe I did it 10 years ago.
We've known him so long since when we were on the Monsters till now. I kind of feel like
we already knew his background.
I think you were pre-Wikipedia.
I'm pretty sure I was.
No, I'm dead serious. Like, I think from me as a broadcaster, like, I met you before there was a tool that you could go to and just type in Killer Beaz and go like, oh, what's this guy about? There was no tool. I had to actually like, hello, sir. How are you? You know, and you're like,
remember,
hi, I'm Killer Beaz.
You had me send in a short story. Remember that? I need 3 paragraphs.
Yeah, that was like me in Flagler College. I had to write an essay. You know? The essay's the only thing that got me in.
And the reason why I bring up the Wikipedia, and you mentioned it right before we started recording, that you're 43 years in, is that I was looking through Wikipedia, and it talked about your first performance in 1982. I was born in 1982. I'm about to turn 43 in 2 weeks. And then I was like, my God. I mean, what a unbelievable career length to be working and
I mean,
continuing to work 43
sitting
GD
before
years.
me, 2 42-year representations of good. Yeah, we have a good career over here, and then we have whatever you're doing.
So, tell me, Beaz, tell us all, like, because I'm, as, you know, it's funny, too, because you, and I'm sure you've thought this before.
Oh, damn, we got Ryan in the chat room saying pardon, but he's saying earliest Beaz memory. Appearances on John Boy and Billy back when I was in elementary school. That would have been 93, 94.
Wow.
You were on the big show.
That's right, out of Charlotte.
Yeah, man.
So, give me some advice, Beaz. Tell us about life. What do we need to do? You know, because you always seem happy. You travel around with corporate, your wife. You've been doing that for years.
Yeah, but it seems very. I mean, I'm sure there's hiccups and problems and issues, but you do seem very content and like you're having a good time.
We've talked to you about your house before. That seems awesome.
We've talked to you about moonshine.
You continue to be driven in your career.
I think we've dabbled in a little bit of guitar. You and I were geeking out a little bit before the show.
Well, it's been a very blessed career, man. I'll just have to say that. And I will say unabashedly that I was really meant to do this. I have been funny since I was a little baby. I don't know if I told y'all the story. My earliest memories in my dome is from living in a funeral home in Kosciuszko, Mississippi. My dad was a funeral director, and we lived in an apartment in this funeral home. And I had the run of the place as a toddler, and I would see sad people come and go from where I lived. And I had no concept of life or death of any of that stuff, but I learned when I was a little bitty baby that I could do just silly little cute stuff, and the crying people would stop crying and come over and smile and talk to me. And I feel like that has fueled my compulsion, and it is a compulsion to make people around me laugh and smile. I don't do good around stoic people because I'm afraid something's wrong. I think we should all every day, and I'm a godly man, I think we should all get up every day and be thankful for the day God gave us and act thankful until at least 10:30 or 11 when we find out it's going to suck just like yesterday.
But it's the gratitude. It's tricking your brain into a positive outlook. I try to do this with my sons, and I want to go all into this, Beaz, because I want to go back into you growing up in a funeral home, and your dad not only was a Korean War veteran, but he was also a captain for the Jackson, Mississippi Police Department.
Correct.
And a funeral director and embalmer, which is
a lot going on there.
A real man in my book.
I've seen some things. And that man has seen a few things.
And it seems like maybe more of a stoic man. I'm painting a picture of a real man police.
How much of him is in you,
Captain?
Well, I believe that his calm demeanor is in me. He did not get flustered. He didn't. There was nothing that went down that had him agog.
Okay.
He was just steadfast.
But correct. But my mom was silly. she was silly and funny,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think that I get a lot of that from her.
From Mama.
And she was amazing because my mother went to college for the first time after having 4 kids, and actually got her Ph.D.
Holy smokes!
Her doctorate in education, and with that
she was a teacher.
Correct, and with that degree, she taught special ed in public school. Wow. And to me, that is the most compassionate,
she's like a servant,
and giving, and
public
just
servant
an amazing,
going back to do that.
Right, an amazing thing that she did that. So fast forward from the funeral home when I was a toddler, we moved to Jackson, Mississippi, and a gentleman who went to embalming school with my dad in Nashville moved to Jackson and opened a funeral home. And this funeral home had an emergency ambulance service. Way back in old-timey days, the municipalities had not taken over the ambulance services yet. And so my dad got me a job with this guy when I was 17 years old, working at the funeral home, working in the ambulance. At the age of 17, I ran emergency ambulance calls every other night.
This
and
must
every
be
other
a southern
weekend.
thing. My dad drove ambulances when he was a young man at like 17, 18.
Really?
This is a young southern man thing in Virginia.
And this was before 911 even existed.
Yeah.
This was back
Before 911?
Yes, sir. This was
Hold on,
back,
I thought 911 was real old.
No,
dude.
Like,
No.
I thought it
I
was
mean-
like they invented the telephone, a little bit went by,
I'll
and
blow
then
your mind.
911.
At 48, I remember when there was no 911.
What?
Yeah.
People
You're
had-
pre-911?
Yeah, I am pre-911, and I'm proud of it. I'm very proud of it.
Man, people had refrigerator magnets
Yeah.
with the ambulance phone number on it. Excuse me. But
Yeah.
anyway, every other night and every other weekend when I was a senior in high school, I was on duty doing ambulance calls. And so when I wasn't on an active call, my dad had kept his embalming license. When I was on duty at that funeral home, he would come in and do the embalming, and I was his apprentice. So I was actually an apprentice embalmer when I was a senior in high school, in addition to running these the emergency calls. So that's how I learned that I could deal with pressure. Going on these calls, on the way to an emergency, man, the adrenaline was so hard I would bounce in that freaking ambulance seat. And
did you have any training?
Oh yeah.
Did you have any medical training?
On the job is the best training. You get there and they tell you to do something. That is the best training.
Did you have like paramedic training?
Back then we didn't have paramedics yet, but we had very advanced EMT training. Did not exist in that state at that time, it was.
We're talking Mississippi.
Correct.
Yeah.
We termed it advanced first aid, but it was but we did I bet I've done CPR 40 or 50 times.
Oh my God!
On people.
Did it ever
And
work?
so,
Because I hear
very,
it never
you know
works.
what?
I'm not a
Sadly,
believer.
sadly, the ratio of people we could bring back was very low because of the time difference that you had to wait for the ambulance to get there. If people would learn CPR, these days you don't even have to do the mouth to mouth part as much.
Yeah, you can use your butt now.
But back
legal
then,
now. It's a comedy show, Tom. I get stabbed. I sit here for so long, I start vibrating. I'm like, I gotta
That's
say
fine.
something.
That's
I
fine.
gotta
Keep
talk about
doing
a
it.
butt.
Keep doing it.
But the thing is, back then, something would go down. Everybody would freak.
Yeah.
Then somebody would run to their phone. Didn't have cell phones. They'd have to run inside to the phone. They would have to look up. Where's that number on the refrigerator? They would call the dispatcher. They would call us. We would get in the ambulance and drive there. And
I like them saying, there should be a universal number we should all call.
Right.
I wish there was a
It'll
universal
never happen.
emergency number. We have to remember this long 10-digit.
Universal? What are you, socialist?
So even if the incident happened right across the street, it's 7 minutes or so before word gets to us to get there. And by that time, it's really hard to resuscitate someone.
Because your brain has lack of oxygen.
Correct. So I urge people listening, learn CPR. It's not hard to learn. Doesn't take a lot of your time. And so, and especially, and here's something else about people talk about, having to do CPR, the mouth to mouth. Most of the time when I would go on a call and someone would just say heart attack victim, we'll say that they're generally with their family members, and do you think I would not give mouth to mouth to my brother or my sister or my mom? And, it's not like just some stranger.
Yeah.
So that's tantamount to trying to save people is get to them quick. So I urge folks to take a class, learn how to do it.
Yeah.
So Beaz, let's go back to your as a child, and I say child, you're a teenager. You're in a funeral home. You're around dead bodies. You're an apprentice embalmer, so you're literally pumping corpses filled with embalming fluid, and
you'd have to say it like that.
I mean, that's what it is.
I'd like to think of it as a little bit more of an art form.
You're exposed to what a lot of people would say traumatic experiences at a young age.
Right.
Seeing a dead body is traumatic. Like I remember even when I was younger.
But isn't it the trope that they use for quirky kids in all TV shows?
Well,
it's like he grew up around a funeral home, and then the kid always ends up becoming some sort of like wacky guy.
Dexter.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
But
a musician or something.
But I think it's natural. Like some people look at that like, oh, that's too traumatic for a kid to go through. But it's like, what did kids go through 100,000 years ago? They saw dead people all the time. Like people were dying around them
and being eaten.
Yeah.
Right.
Like and then
they're probably rowing a boat as a slave of some sort, I would imagine.
Well, no, yeah, I'm talking
manpower.
I'm talking about 50,000 years. Pre-civilization,
That was rough.
When we evolved, our brains probably evolved to be able to accept traumatic experiences when you were young because you only live so long. So then this is why I bring this all up, Beaz, because I look at how you grew up and what you did at a young age, and then I look at like what my sons, 9 and 10. They are not traumatized at all. Like the most horrific thing they've seen is on anime cartoons. You know what I'm saying? They've never experienced any sort of like real hardship or tragedy just because we live in a suburb. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like what
life is good.
And it's not even like, I try to make them work and stuff, but it's like they're not naturally being exposed to anything that would be like, signal you like, oh, this is real, there's a dead body here. I'm putting embalming fluid. I'm on giving CPR to multiple people that end up dying. It's like that.
I'm not even 18 and I have a job. I mean, how about something as simple as that?
Yeah.
It's like I'm in my late teens and I have a job that I have to do.
Well, here's the thing about that. I worked every other night, every other weekend, so they waived the tardy rule at school because I would often be on an active call at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I had an English teacher that would have me come up to the front of the class and tell my classmates why I was late that day. And at that point in time, it was like, oh, man, this is gnarly. This is great. I get to tell all this cool stuff. But in retrospect, it gave me a way to verbalize what I had seen and been a part of the night before. And I believe that really helped me not have to just carry that weight, and it helped me verbalize it and gave some relief to it. And I actually saw that teacher 100 years later came to a show of mine, and I was able to tell that teacher how much that meant to me, that I was able to
it's almost like a pressure valve, right?
Correct. Exactly. Yeah. I was able to do that. Plus, it got me in front of people telling stories for the first time. So I look back and I'm like, man, did God have this plan the whole time?
Yeah.
But that is...
Was your teacher doing it, just to clarify, it wasn't a form of punishment. It was just
Not at all.
It was just
Correct.
more like, hey, he's late, so since you're late, come on in here and tell us what you were doing. And you'd get up there and be like, hey, I was tucking this guy's...
It was an act of compassion by that teacher, and I didn't realize
Young
it at
Beaz,
the time.
come up and tell us about the person you tried to give CPR to last night and end up dying. and tell the class about how you saw someone die last night.
And make sure you use adverbs because it was an English teacher.
My kids' teachers can't even call my son by his nickname Max without me signing a form giving him permission to use a nickname. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
so
it's a different time.
So, Beaz, and then what do you think that did to you? Because obviously, look at you now. You're 71. You're still grinding. You've been doing.
I don't think you've ever slowed down at least since we've been in this studio. I mean,
for 43 years now. I mean, that's gotta be somewhat related to growing up and then having that instilled into you early. That hey, I'm going to start working and do hard jobs.
Do you ever get bored?
No, I don't get bored with the art form. It's a very challenging art form. Spoken word, and which is what you guys do. Spoken word is, I think, the hardest art form because you don't have music to carry you. You don't have awesome dance moves to carry you. It is all about making a movie scene in somebody's head. So there's wordsmithing that's got to be done. There's delivery, and the turn of a phrase. So it's a very detail-oriented, hard art form. I did not go into it because of that, and I did not know that about the art form when we started out. But I've just been funny since I was a little baby, and people have told me my whole life, dude, you should be a comedian. And so when I finally got the chance, I tried it and I went, you know what? I sucked. And I'm like, but it's because I did not know the mechanics of doing it on stage.
I'm going to figure this out.
And that's where if you've really got that gift, which is a gift of levity, if you've got that gift, the work is that learning curve of learning how to do it on stage in front of strangers. When we're just sitting around together, popping off, we can all make everybody in the room laugh.
For sure.
But it's a whole different ball game when your name's on the ticket.
Yeah.
And they spent time and money.
Yeah, at that point it's an equation, lightning in a bottle or something. You got to be able to know how to do it. Yeah, for sure.
So when Beaz did you decide, hey, I'm going to give stand-up comedy a try? And, I mean, obviously we talked about 43 years ago, but how did your real man dad, feel about it?
That's
going into that career? Like 43 years ago.
How did your family think?
Stand-up comedy wasn't looked at as anything serious at all.
We've never asked you that. Did you have any other entertainers possibly in the family?
No. Well, you're looking at my mom, who went to school and got a Ph.D. after having 4 kids.
Yeah.
You're looking at my dad, 33 years police force, U.S. Army during Korea.
I like that he kept the embalming thing, too, because, keeping it up, I've always admired people that have that, and then they'll be like, oh, I have my realtor license or something, and then they just jump over to something, and I'm like, well,
that's old school.
It is old school, but I'm like, wait, you always kept that up? And they're like, oh, yeah, every year I take the test. I'm like, real? What? You do that?
And so, see, I was one of these guys that never knew what I wanted to do. What do you want to be when you grow up? Down in Jackson, Mississippi, there were 4 options: fireman, policeman, doctor, truck driver, whatever.
All the Richard Scary ones, in the children's book.
And so I didn't want to choose because I knew there were other things out there, and I thought there may be something even cooler and better and more fun that I would enjoy doing. So I was playing blues guitar on weekends in Jackson, Mississippi, working at a music store, selling guitar gear, doing some setups on guitars, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And the house band from a ritzy nightclub came in when they go, man, Kenny, the guy that runs the place, wants a comedian. You should go do it. Because I've been funny since I was a little baby. And so I said, you know what?
And you knew the guys in the band.
I'm going to try to do that. So I went down and saw the guy and booked Friday and Saturday, 20 minutes. 2 20-minute shows. Had never been on stage to do
Christ, 20 minutes is a long ass time.
Right. 2 minutes is a long time.
Yeah.
So, but not knowing the art of stand-up, it does give you confidence. I do 20 minutes, it's not that long. But now you're like, oh, that's an eternity.
It's like those people I see that get on a skateboard for the first time and they ride all the way down the hill perfectly. I'm like, how the hell did you do that?
So it was, and I had no material. Yeah, I did stuff off Richard Pryor albums, off old records and stuff. But I also liked Gallagher. He had just came out.
Yeah.
And so I had some little props and stuff like that.
I liked Gallagher as a kid, too. Oh, my God. When he pulled that massive condom out of the couch, my head exploded.
You're like,
I
can smash some stuff?
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
You were like, that was my old couch.
So, and you had a little bit of reps from as a kid, telling stories to your classmates and trying to make the people in your dad's funeral home laugh when their grandma died.
I was a little too funny for the funeral business. I was better behind the scenes.
Yeah. Don't get him out there. He's ruining the mood.
At any time did your dad want you to take over his business? I'm sure that that's an old school mentality, but still exists today. Like I kind of want my sons to be interested in my business and take it over one day. Even though
what's funny is that I think that before I had kids, I'm like, I want her to do something that I do. But the more, after I have kids, I am opposed to, I hate what I do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want her in this.
It's awesome now.
I don't want her anywhere near this. And I want
What do you mean? This is awesome.
No, it is awesome. But I want her to do her thing.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but what if she wanted to do it?
I mean, it'd be the greatest.
Yeah,
you know that. Yeah, but that's not going to happen.
And he did not push me to do that. He did not.
Wow.
He was very cool about it.
Yeah.
And I thought that was neat that he would show me how to do some different things, but not push me like that. So that was
interesting.
So that was kind of cool. So now
he was ahead of his time then a little bit of a dad then, because most dads that I would, if I'm adding up your age and your dad, I would imagine most dads a little more stuck in their ways than, hey, I'm going to give this guy the ability to explore. Well, that's a newer. I think that's a newer dad concept.
Again, Korean War veteran, captain in the
this
Jackson
guy broke the mold. Sounds like
Mississippi
a good dude.
Police Department and embalmer. You think he's ahead of his time? But you think he'd be old school, exactly what you would think he is.
Man, he grew up poor, and when we lived in that funeral home, and they had to teach him at embalming school how to tie a tie. And when we would get dressed to go to church when I was a little boy, he would have me lay down on the kitchen table to tie my tie, because that's how we learned how to tie a tie.
Oh, my God, like a dead body.
Right.
That
and
is
Mom,
the coolest. That should be a cover of your, that should be a comedy album of yours. Like you
I can't tie it unless you're laying down dead.
You gotta lay down like you're dead. Close your eyes.
And Mom hated it. Mom hated that. And
That's
Dad would go,
hilarious.
look lifelike, son. And Mom would just go, oh, Drew, quit doing that.
Okay, so he was funny too.
It's
in
the
gene.
It's there. It's there. Yeah, that's killer, man.
So anyway, so that's how it kind of came to fruition, I guess, if you will. And I always felt like from day one that I would acquire the chops to be successful at stand-up. I was never one of those guys who went, man, I wonder if I'll do good at it. That never occurred to me. It was when I had the opportunity to do that, I'm like, okay, that right there.
Yeah.
So...
Where are the big, because, I feel like country, I don't know about you guys, you're more in that world. I feel like country music's like hotter than it's almost ever been right now across the board. And it would seem like to me that you would see more. Now, again, I'm asking you because you're there. Are we getting more of an influx of our country comedians? Like, where are those guys at?
And that's a good question.
Where are Jerry Clowers?
And I don't see...
Where are Killer Beaz?
I don't see a lot
the new guys.
Of the new guys these days because we take our hand-picked opening act with us. That's another thing that this long into it, I'm not in those trenches. And I'll say this, I'm glad that I'm not just now starting out in my career. And this just comes from a concept of me being my age, because the audience now in the comedy clubs did not grow up in the same lifestyle that I grew up in. They grew up gaming. They grew up with digital information and the give and take with the verbal words back and forth with real people in real time was not as much a part of their life.
Right.
So it's a different thing now. So we do very few comedy clubs now. We do mostly theaters, and it's the audiences are closer to my age because they grew up listening to John Boy and Billy throughout the years. and this and that.
They know you already, so they come to see you. Yeah,
correct. And we have common ground.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the best place to be too, because but like going back to your stand-up career, and I want to ask you this, Beaz, because. And we've talked about this a lot with other stand-ups, and it doesn't happen so much anymore. And what I'm talking about is performing in front of audiences that don't know who you are. And you had to cut your teeth bringing your style of comedy to a bunch of strangers who had no idea who you were.
It's like cold calling,
and now speaking, and I think this is what happened, because like we saw like Larry the Cable Guy and other Southern comedians in the 90s, be it like Peak or whatever, and they were bringing their Southern culture to the rest of the United States.
It was a cultural exchange, sure.
And then I feel like current Southern, I'll put that in parentheses, comedians or something that grew up in a certain demographic that would relate to other demographics, they never leave their bubble of people that follow them, and they just go around performing to their audience. For instance, because they can promote like, hey, I'm going to be here, and then all their audience goes there.
They know where they're going.
And then they know them, and then they know exactly where, you know what I'm saying? So you're not cutting your teeth in front of an audience that doesn't know you, which is way harder to win them over, which gives you, I believe, a hardened and more experienced journey as a stand-up.
I believe that. I believe that's true. More. I think it's more valuable.
I believe that's true, man, because back then when I would work, and I've worked everywhere. I've worked Chicago, Seattle, just all over, and before I got on that part of the country, before I started traveling out, I had some anxiety or angst over it about what are these people in these foreign lands going to think of me, and especially with this accent. And so I learned that people are the same everywhere you go. All four corners of our country, there's different accent. The food's going to be a little different, or maybe a lot different, and there's differences, but we all have the same human experiences. We love our job or we don't. Our boss is great or we dread seeing him.
Sure, yeah.
So you learn to do an act that is universal instead of regional. And so I got to where I would do the same set in Seattle that I would do in Indianapolis, that I would do in Birmingham or Charlotte or Tampa or Corpus Christi, Texas.
Yeah. Or Porky's.
Yeah. So that's what I had learned. But there was trepidation there because I'm like, how will they accept me? Because we didn't have cable TV then. We didn't have the internet, and people in these other places had not been exposed to the people from other places.
Anything like you. And now we're exposed to everything via the internet and social media. So it's like we already know it's like going on vacation. People look. You could go on a vacation to a national park, and you could have walked through the entire national park on a YouTube video already to seen it, and that's what people do. They're like,
"That's the only way I do national parks." Yeah.
And then so you plan, you already seen it on the. So once you get there, you're like, "Oh, I've already walked through it in the virtual tour."
I actually like to watch the video while I'm walking the real tour. It's a little more fun that way.
You see a stand-up comedian you like on social media. If you've already been exposed to an hour of their content, you're already familiar with them. They're not a stranger to you. And that's a shame that that now we live in a world where we already know what's coming, and then for the comedian, they already know they're going to an audience currently that knows who they are, so there's a comfortability factor. And old school comedians, they would go into an audience, complete strangers, and perform in front of people who had no idea who, and then like weren't even familiar with Southern comics, or like maybe had a stereotype that you were going to be.
Now I think you'd seek it out. And that's what I mean. Like maybe that's why it's disappeared. Like it's like as the world gets smaller, I can't even think like maybe Chris Porter. Would you even dub him a Southern comic? I don't know.
Well, I worked with Chris 100 times. Generally in the South when I would work with him.
You and Chris are the only. So I can't think of anybody else really. But it was a thing when I was a kid. It was like a thing. Like you knew that there were comics that would only be like with country music.
Here's something. So I wanted to touch this a second ago with you, that the performers these days have so much in common with the performers of old. We did, get this, true story. We did 2 weeks ago Abbeville, South Carolina, the Abbeville Opera House, built in 1896. An iconic, old-time ornate theater. And I was backstage getting ready. The show's about to start. The curtain was closed. And one of the techs goes, "Come here, I got to show you something." And he walked me to the middle of the stage, and there was a square patch in the wooden floor. And he goes, "That is where this theater made a trap door for Harry Houdini's act."
Really?
And I'm
Damn.
like, oh my gosh! And it just made me think about these performers. You know, stage performers. They suck it up and they go out there and they deliver. But just the gall, if you will, of this guy's rider to have, "Oh yeah, I'm going to need y'all to cut a trap door." My rider has fancy bottled water.
Yeah. What do you want? What do you like? Are you a bubbly man? You like a Perrier?
A fruit tray, that kind of stuff. And I'm like, holy moly.
Well, we're getting a new. This is coming back. I don't know if you guys read the article that Quentin Tarantino, I think it was 2 days ago. I mean, like, he is basically the article should have just been called Quentin Tarantino thinks that film, streaming, TV, computers is garbage. The last bastion of human entertainment is live stage. That is it. Seeing something live with a human to human, that's where he's going. That's his thing. Yeah.
Oh, we get this.
Yeah. So comedy, I mean, that's like going to see Beaz at Porky's, the exchange of energy from a real human to you.
Yeah.
May be the newest and greatest form, truly, of entertainment, because everything else is fake as F. It's just not real.
And you're overly exposed to it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like getting now.
This is authentic.
Yeah. It's almost like getting an advertisement in the real mail. You're like, whoa, what's this?
Yeah, it does get me now.
Like, what the hell is this?
I got one yesterday for some like
hold on,
infrared spa, and I was like, what? You know,
there's a car key in here. Saying someone mailed me a car key?
They said they were going to pay me yesterday if I checked out their bank, and I opened it up and I looked for the crisp dollar bill, and it wasn't in there.
Yeah.
I think you got to go online.
Yeah, Moonshiners pays me online. I don't even get to go. I don't get to go to the mailbox. Ooh, there's a check in there.
Yeah,
and that corporate just leave. Oh yeah, we just deposited.
Before we run out of time, let's hit Moonshiners a little bit.
Yeah.
We're just over here pontificating about life with Beaz.
Thursday. This past what's today? Friday, Tuesday, 3 day, whatever Tuesday was. I won my second episode of Master Distiller, which is a moonshining competition show that runs hand in hand with the regular Moonshiner show. So I am now 2-0 undefeated on the Master Distiller.
Now, do they have a hillbilly? Do they have a hillbilly counterpart that is like the hillbilly Gordon Ramsay, who he will take a sip of your
several of them? Yes, they do.
I can't taste none of the elderflower. I can't taste none of the cinnamon. And I think you done plumb ruined the challenge. You suck.
And they'll use words like on the back end.
Yeah.
Or, and it's got a nose on it. All this stuff.
It's got a motor oil finish.
So anyway, I was lucky enough to win another episode of that, which was cool as all get out.
That is fantastic,
and,
man.
Yeah, no, man, isn't that neat? It's just like the cooking shows where you have to make a carrot cake out of these ingredients. You got 2 hours go.
That's
cool.
Like that. So you have to distill something that's undistillable or weird, or
that's weird.
Yeah,
we did hot peppers. They wanted a hot pepper infused liquor.
That kind of makes sense.
So we chose bags that you couldn't see them. They had hot peppers in them. And the producer had told me in advance we're going to do hot peppers. So I took a blowtorch, put it in my backpack. I had a blowtorch and a blender in my backpack. And when I got my peppers out, I cut them out and I pulled the blowtorch out and bruleed.
Oh, yeah, man.
Scalded, toasted the peppers before I did the run.
Makes them sweeter, right?
And that came through. Well, when you barrel age liquor, the inside of those oak barrels has been charred. Ooh. See that, and so it gets that charred bourbony kind of taste. So my stuff had a hint of char in it because I charred the peppers with my blowtorch. And then I had a pineapple, and I cut it up and poured 150 proof moonshine into the blender with this pineapple, made a slurry out of it, and put it in the thump keg and ran the vapors from the charred peppers through this pineapple slurry liquid, and then through the condenser and into the jar. So it gave a pineapple note and a charred, almost aged note to the distillate.
And it was a tribute. And it was a tribute to Maui burning.
So why would you say that? Why would you say that? Beaz, I'm curious to like moonshine. I remember when moonshine used to, like, someone would be like, got some moonshine. You're like, oh.
Okay. It was like Cuban cigars. Remember somebody be like, I got a Cuban cigar. You're like, you can't have that in my house. The cops are going to come and tase me in front of my children.
And there was a different, view of how legal or illegal moonshine was.
We've got moonshine sitting there that was gifted. I won't say who gave it to us, but we have
SJ.
Yeah. It was brewed, and it was brewed with marijuana.
And there's a marijuana nug in there.
There's a marijuana nug that in the bottom of it.
I'll show that to a cop right now.
Yeah,
it's right here. If any cops listening,
Delta 9, come and get me. Delta 9.
It doesn't matter.
Read your laws, sovereign citizen.
And speaking of Delta 9, they're selling it everywhere. Yeah. It's weed.
Have you noticed that? Have you noticed you can buy weed anywhere now?
Yeah.
So what's the legal
ramification?
Of moonshine anymore? Does it? Cops don't even care.
Great question.
It is still a federal offense. With that being said, there are several states in the union that will allow home distilling for personal use. Missouri is one of them. Missouri, you can have 100 gallons a year for your personal use if you're over the age of 21.
100 gallons?
Yeah.
Correct. It is still a federal offense, but those states do not enforce that.
Yeah.
And the feds aren't going to send the FBI to your home.
Missouri's in Missouri you can do some stuff. You can still lock your wife in the wife room in Missouri. No, that's not true. I made that up. That's not allowed.
So it remains illegal unless you are in a licensed distillery, and I'm pretty sure you have to have your still connected to the floor of that establishment. You cannot carry it around with you by federal law.
Oh, it's old school antiquated law.
Right.
Like it's got to be bolted to the ground.
So you can't put it in your truck and drive it to the to the
the workaround on that, you got to do sugar bolts.
So
you let them wet.
And this too, I hear from a lot of people. Oh, time out. Let me say this. Stop asking for moonshine on Facebook.
Yeah,
right,
don't do that.
I'm back. There are a lot of, you hear people talk about, they'll send me texts all that, man, or message me, man, I want some of that stuff y'all make in the woods. I don't want the stuff that's in the stores. They use the exact same equipment in the stores. They use big copper pots. They use copper coal. They use the same ingredients as we use in the woods when we're filming the show. The only difference is they make it in huge quantities.
Yeah.
In the distillery, and there's not bugs in the mash.
And I like the bugs.
And
I feel like the bugs are part of it.
And some argue that it does not have the elfin magic that is created when you make it in the woods.
You got to have a human pube in there, right? You got to have like a hair.
Elfin magic.
Yeah, I agree with Beaz. If it's not, I feel like it's almost like a popcorn machine at a seafood restaurant that's never been cleaned. That's going to be the best tasting popcorn in that bar. Down the Hatch. I'm talking about Down the Hatch seafood restaurant.
Yeah.
Once you clean that thing and you've changed the whole, you ruined it.
Because you've got the FDA and the feds coming in, making sure your copper is polished to a certain degree, yada, 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 where when we're out in the woods, they go, we'll just dump that out and start over.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay?
Yeah, it's clean.
What is it? As a businessman, if someone in my audience was like, "Oh, this is not the made in the woods moonshine," like I want to, I'm like, just print made in the woods.
Made in the woods.
Just whatever. Just print whatever that sells.
Or how much has to be made in the woods? So what you do is you take one jar of made in the woods. You know what I mean? That's what a lot of people do.
I've learned this too. The word hillbilly means a genius in overalls with a spit cup.
Yeah,
I mean, there is a lot of chemistry and physics involved in and I quote, covert distillation of non-taxed artisan spirits at a non-disclosed location.
This is a scientist with a southern accent.
Yeah, exactly. He just doesn't like lab coats. He likes flannel.
So, congratulations on that, by the way.
Beaz.
And how many years have you been working with Moonshiners? It's got to be
9 years now.
Okay,
The show, we just finished season 14.
That's
We'll
so
be
awesome.
wrapping up our last episodes are coming up before too long, which really has some cool stuff going on in it. And so season 9 for me, season 14 for the show. And every year they go, we don't even know if we're going to have another season. I've been doing that for the last 7 years.
Yeah, I know you said that to us before, but I think it's locked in. People love it.
Next year will be season 15, be 10 for me.
That's awesome.
And it has been so much fun, man, and it is such a hoot to get to do that.
Has that show like infiltrated different countries, and have you been surprised? Because I'm sure that it's like, you know how TV rights, they start selling it off to foreign countries.
Dude, I get email from Germany, from Australia, from the UK. Matter of fact, Discovery Channel UK did a clip on Facebook of one of my episodes, and the stuff that they were writing from the UK, the comments, they would compare me to Al Capone. Just stuff like that. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So there's that. And let me say
I love it when people of other countries are ignorant to what's really happening. You're like, look at how dumb they are. This is great.
So anyway, but let me say this real quick, because I want to say this. I need followers on Facebook.
All right,
Killer
let's do it.
Beaz Comedy, Facebook, Instagram, and so y'all can help me out with that.
Yeah.
So,
They'll hit you right now. The people in the chat room, especially.
Beaz is spelled B-E-A-Z.
B-E-A-Z.
Killer Beaz Comedy.
Also, we got some people that bought some tickets. They're going to come and see you.
Yeah,
nice.
Porky's Comedy Club.
How
Friday,
many shows?
Friday and Saturday.
Friday and Saturday.
Yes.
And there's 2 shows.
Good food.
I think it's just one a night. Is that correct?
One show Friday, one show Saturdays. Porky's Comedy Club.
They got barbecue. Go get something to eat.
They got great burn-ins. They got really good banana pudding.
Yeah, man, good food.
Yeah.
That's a good spot. And the people at Porky's always treat us right. They're good folks.
Yeah, go see Beaz. And it's cool because...
Say hi to him.
You could just have a conversation with Beaz, and he has an amazing life.
Yeah,
man.
And you did it right, Beaz.
Yeah.
I did it right. I get inspired when you come in here. I was like, I gotta figure out how to come into a landing like Beaz. Like Beaz is still doing his thing, but see, to me, every morning I wake up, I'm like, how am I still alive?
Dude, I'm very grateful. I certainly am. Did I tell you I have a flamethrower?
Yes, I think we talked about the flamethrower.
Okay, good deal.
Mike Busey has a flamethrower. Do you know who Mike Busey is? He owns a house of ill repute here.
It's a social media influencer.
Yeah. Oh, he's crazy. He has a flamethrower, too.
You even call him an influencer? He's like pre-influencer, kind of became an influencer on the wrong social media app.
I don't know. I don't know what I guess he's still
Snapchat.
an influencer.
Is Snapchat still a thing?
It's still a thing.
It seems like it isn't. I don't hear much about Snapchat.
Last we saw him, he rented a helicopter, a little one, and he flew over the Hollywood sign. And he diarrheaed on it. Like literally he did it, and he filmed himself doing it. And we're like, wow.
I'm sure he's taking that down. He's like, oh, God.
He's like, oh, yeah, please take that down. These people are burning alive.
Yeah, my show's a little different.
Yeah.
But kind of the same. If you look
but the spirit is
the
same. Yeah.
Just as fun.
Beaz, thank you so much.
Man, thank you.
You're always
welcome.
Seeing you guys. And again, hit up Porky's, get those tickets, go see Beaz, and if you guys come around here again, hey, hit us up. We
certainly will. And Corporate killed it on the pinball machine.
Yeah, she did.
Dude.
I'll give the report. Our first celebrity player, 45 million. 45 million.
All right.
You got to beat that.
So we will see you on Monday.
Awesome, man. That was great. Is this the last thing before lunch?
Yes.
Okay, bye, guys. We'll see you after.